my number, I think, was 41, but I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else can verify that for me. My name is Ted Nowak. I was from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, that I still live in Wisconsin. And my position, I think I was a forward, if I'm not mistaken. It was so long ago. But I'm trying to think. Went to St. John's. I don't know. I think I heard a couple other guys say why they went to St. John's. For me, it was more or less, my brothers went to St. John's, and I guess I kind of followed in their footsteps, and that's kind of where I was going to end up. And my sister went to St. Ben's, so and they were older than me, so I just kind of followed where all they went, and retired now and enjoying every minute of it. I
Specific.
remember the session being very long, and I'm trying to remember if it was followed up with a practice or if it was after a practice, but I just remember it was a very long film session, and a lot of things that were shown to us that we did wrong, and it was kind of an eye opener for all of us. At least it was for me, and I think it kind of set the tone for you gotta start doing things right, because we weren't doing them right the first couple of games, and and the rest was history. And I think once we got on a roll, that was it. Things kind of fell in place.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I mean, I had no expectation of doing that when I was at St. John's. Clearly, it all kind of fell into our laps because of our when we went over to Austria and Germany after our senior year with the team for a week or two, and they set some game up for us to play, and there was some coaches there that apparently were looking to find some Americans to play for them. So that's how Dan and I got hooked up. But the reality of it was, once I got there, it was kind of like, it's a very unique situation. I think people kind of don't understand the whole dynamics of European sports. I didn't at the time, but the reality of it was they weren't very good basketball players. And so I was actually a little disappointed at first, because we were playing in a league that didn't have a lot of talent, and coming from the program that we were at St. John's, at a high competitive level, you miss that. At least I did. And the idea that you're living in a foreign country, and you're trying to. We were more about. I think, Dan, maybe you'll agree or disagree, but we were more brand ambassadors to basketball, to these foreigners about. I think they wanted to be back. I used to tell people, they say, "What was it like?" I'd say, "Well, it'd be like if you're a European soccer player coming to play soccer in America, 25, 40 years ago, when soccer wasn't very big and popular, and you're a really good soccer player, and you're playing with soccer players that they think they're good, but they really aren't that good. And you're trying to make them better." And the reality is, I think they leaned upon Americans to kind of teach them how to play the sport, because they really didn't have a long history of playing it. Now you see soccer in America, the World Cup is more important to Americans in soccer than it was 40 years ago. But that's how basketball was to Europeans. Now you're starting to see, I think European basketball is a little bit more popular in terms of that the players are better. Some of them are getting drafted in the NBA, and so they're obviously good enough to do that. That wasn't the case when I was playing over there.
How much did you make there, Ted?
Well, if you want to pay thousands, if you count shillings, but shillings, it wasn't a dollar for one to a dollar, but it wasn't about playing for money. I'll be honest, because it wasn't a lot of money.
We didn't get rich, that's for sure.
No, I didn't retire on the money I made playing in Europe. It was good drinking money, though. I will attest to that. It paid
Teddy and I kept side jobs to make some extra cash.
As
The way I looked at it was, I didn't have to worry about what I had to do after college, because I had something to do, and it didn't really matter how much money I was making. It was I made enough to drink and eat it whatever I wanted, so that was fun. And I was playing a sport I enjoyed, so and we met some really neat people, and I think that was the best experience. making some really unique friends and learning a new culture. That was
Oh,
as
and
much
Ted,
fun or more fun than playing the basketball.
Ted was just back there, what, last year, right? You kind of
I
went back
in
for a little
December, yeah.
reunion visit, saw the coach and was honored at one of the games back there. So it was, it was a great experience, great cultural kind of experience.
I can tell you by watching the team, our team played today. They had a pretty good team. They were really. If I would have liked to play a team that was that good, but it was one of those situations where most teams had two Americans on them or two foreigners, and they basically canceled each other out. So you're only as good as your national players, and the really good teams had good national players, and the team that Dan and I played for didn't. And it's a team sport. It wasn't 2 against 5; it's 5 against 5. So, I mean, I'm glad I did it, and it was a great experience, but it wasn't a great. I would say it wasn't a great basketball experience. It was a great life experience, and I think in today's world, it's a much different. The players are the foreign players are much better, and back then they weren't as good. So I graduated with a political science major, kind of thinking of going to law school, but I wasn't smart enough. So I got a 2-year pass living in Europe, not having to worry about anything. Spent a lot of time in the nightclubs over there because it was a lot of fun. So when I came back from that, I got involved in the beer business in 1981, and I did it for 40 years. I just recently retired last year. So I started working for a distributor, then I went to work for the supplier, and I worked the last 35 years for the importer for Corona. And I was in sales management. I oversaw the Midwest for our business, Illinois, or not Illinois, I'm sorry, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Dakotas. So so it was kind of one of those. It was a job in which people would say, "How do I get that job?" Because all I see you do is go around and drink and have fun and go to play golf and with a bunch of guys. And so I guess I turned out pretty lucky. There's no degree for something like that, but it turned out pretty fun. It was a fun career, and I'm retired now and enjoying myself. And I will tell you this: the stuff I learned playing basketball at St. John's is what I needed to be successful in the beer business. Beer business is very much like like playing basketball, very competitive and cutthroat, and you have to really work hard if you want to be successful, because there's so much competition out there, and so I think my career at St. John's playing basketball really prepared me well for it, because it's a dog eat dog business, and it's great when you're winning, but it sucks when you're losing, and that was no different in my business career. I was fortunate enough to be on a good winning team for a long time. For that, I do owe my experience playing basketball at St. John's to that, because there were some rough patches, and and it brings you back to some of the memories of when you had rough patches, on the basketball court, and you had to get through it. Same thing happened in my business career. So I had a lot of great opportunities, a lot of fun things, worked with a lot of great people, and had fun doing it.
Ted, you were born to be our teammate and to be in the beer business. I'm convinced that.
Well, I was a bartender at Sal's when I was a senior at St. John's. So
Hey, I spent a year watching you club in Europe. I know what you were born to.
I've got to
yeah,
ask,
well, I figured if I could drink that much over there, that I could drink with the best of them in the United States, and I could for a while.